Right, that end over to you.
Get in. Come on. Cosa.
Stand up, you bald dwarf.
Oh.
Hello, Pimlico. Fornication. Early Tourette's. For an occasion such as this. For an occasion such as this, it is my job as best man to give a précis of the groom's life thus far that has led into this most special time and place. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're about to hear, some of you may find disturbing. Based on a true story, I must warn you of the adult content and repeated drunkenness. It has been said that fat, drunk and stupid is no way to go through life. Until now, that is.
Sorry?
Jonathan William Bancroft Pirrie, born 14th of June 1974, to proud, not for long, to proud parents, Philip and Hannah. 5 years on, and Philip's job takes the family to Hong Kong, a place that remains special for Joe, as years later he would pop the question there. More so for the rugby sevens, though. It is believed young Joe received some sort of rudimentary education in Hong Kong before returning to further his academic development at Bryanston School. A naturally gifted, if lazy, student and sportsman, he got some GCSEs and some A-levels. Probably. Enough, that is, to secure him a place at the world-renowned seat of learning that was and continues to be Leicester University.
All right.
That is where I and many others, some as a result of the cruel twists of fate thrown up by the university clearance system, met Joe Pirrie. Before taking up his place at Leicester, Joe took a well-earned gap year. To fund his pending travels to the US and Russia, he got a job working in the kitchens at Gatwick Airport. This gave him a chance to meet and work alongside some normal people in a proper job. Something he would never experience again. Bryanston had provided Joe not only with the academic tools required for further education, but also a phenomenal appetite for partying, cigarettes and alcohol. At Leicester, this propelled him to the top of the class. Joe chose to study history, a subject which has long fascinated him. But more importantly, because he could fit in the 4 hours of lectures a week around his busy social life. I met Joe in my first week at Leicester, September 1994. He by this point was a second-year veteran, a Goliath of a man, with a Euro mullet hairstyle. prone to wearing a rubber Viking hat and variety of fetching knitwear. I couldn't believe how much beer he could consume without falling over. We made an instant connection and have been drunk ever since. The rugby club was the focus of much of the socialising and drunken mischief, from naked curries in the Akash to singing in the rain in the local pubs on a Wednesday afternoon post-match. To the amazement of the locals, Singing in the Rain is a song which culminates in all 50 members of the rugby club getting starkers. Not a pretty sight, especially when weather permitting, the naked conga took to the nearby streets. Joe briefly captained the university second team before his fading fitness and heavy workload caught up with him. I have seen photos and believe them to be genuine in the time before Photoshop and airbrushing of a 13-stone athlete playing for the first at school, leaping like a salmon at the line-out. Such images would not be recaptured at Leicester University. Joe discovered a quick and easy method for completing coursework essays. He would simply read paragraphs from textbooks on the relevant subject, whilst a volunteer, who would be rewarded with beer or pints of gin and tonic, typed them up.
Right.
On one such occasion, Fossey had volunteered and was growing increasingly bored and drunk at the keyboard. Joe submitted the essay the following morning, thinking he'd constructed another one-hour masterpiece. A week later, the essay was returned with a large red circle and question mark on page 2. Fossey had inserted in brackets, in the middle of a flowing prose about Russian tank movements, "Joe Perry sucks big cock." The tutor seemed to be in full agreement. Joe was largely disliked at university by those who didn't know him, and indeed by many of those who did. A sort of Marmite character. Normally at the university bar, pint of snakebite in one hand, fag in the other. He is the original social hand grenade. Simply fill with beer, pull the pin, and watch him explode into the rudest man in Great Britain. Great fun for all the family. We all lived that year in the Beaumont Halls of Residence, which conveniently had its own bar. A regular evening game was to drink a pint of all the draft beverages on offer, from left to right and then back again. I think a total of 13 pints. Luckily, pint 11 on the way back was cider and often induced projectile vomiting, allowing the participants to complete the set. On one occasion, Joe was so enthralled by the game, he decided instead of going to gent, he would relieve himself on the roaring fire in the bar. The fire roared no longer. However, the warden of the halls did. Threats were made and letters sent home. Hallow was, I am sure, delighted to get an update on Joe's university progress. This is not the last time a urine-related gag would land Joe in bother with the authorities.